Okay, so we're back for another deep dive.
Yeah,
And sometimes we cover some pretty heavy stuff.
we do.
And this one is no exception.
No, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, this one's really going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of sources here detailing this event that happened just last month on February 10th, 2025.
Yeah, February 10th.
And as always, we've read through all of these and
Try to, distill it down.
try to distill it down into something that is understandable, because sometimes these things are written in a very, kind of jargony way. Legalistic, yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's hard to even figure out, what exactly happened.
Right.
And so, we always try to do that for our listeners, and give them the information in a way that's
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, approachable.
Virtual. And hopefully, we can all learn something from it.
Exactly. And hopefully in cases like this, it can maybe prevent something similar from happening again.
Yeah, exactly.
Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to jump right into this this really tragic story that took place at an elementary school.
Yeah.
And just to set the scene, it's, you can picture that end of the school day, kind of a
Right. The normalcy of it.
normalcy, right? The routine,
Yeah.
kids getting out of school, eager to see their parents.
Yeah.
Parents waiting at home.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Just another day.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this so particularly jarring, is that you have this very, routine day-to-day existence, and then suddenly this horrific event.
Yeah. And that contrast, I think, is what really is so striking about this story.
Absolutely.
So at the center of this is a 7-year-old girl, Kim Ha-neul, and some sources refer to her as Kiyama as well. So,
yeah, there's some inconsistency there.
yeah, there's some inconsistency there. Yeah. But, picture this little girl. She's just finished up her after-school program.
Backpack probably bigger than she is.
Right, dragging it on the ground.
Got her little drawing she did in her hand.
And she's excited to show her mom.
Right.
That's what she's thinking about.
Absolutely. Just an innocent little joy, you know? That's what every kid should be experiencing at that age.
Absolutely. And, but instead of heading out, towards the school gate, she's called over by a teacher.
Right, which, again, speaks to that element of trust, right? A teacher is a figure of authority, someone that a child is taught to listen to and obey.
Right. And we all remember that from when we were kids,
Feel it.
The teacher says something, you do it.
Yeah, you don't question it.
You don't question it. And so, and it seems like a completely innocent request, just offering a book to her.
Or a seemingly kind gesture.
A seemingly kind gesture.
Yeah. Maybe even framed as a reward or something like that.
Right. You've been good today. Here's a book.
Right. Exactly.
And then leads her to this kind of small, dimly lit storage room, like an audio-visual room.
Right. Which, thinking about it now, it's sort of this, foreshadowing this descent into darkness. It's this small, enclosed space away from prying eyes.
It's really creepy when you think about it that way.
Yeah, and it's so, just opposed to that vibrancy and energy of the hallway with all the kids leaving, and then she's led to this isolated location.
Yeah, and so the door closes.
And that's the moment, right?
Yeah, that's the moment. And outside, life is going on.
Right. People are oblivious.
To
what's about to happen.
Yeah, teachers chatting, maybe some kids still playing outside.
Yeah, just the remnants of the school day.
Right, and it's just this horrifying thought that, behind this closed door, this horrible thing is about to take place.
Right, and that nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
It's just this like isolated bubble of horror.
Yeah. So, time starts ticking by and it gets to be 4:50 p.m.
Yeah.
Her parents are expecting her home.
Right. Probably starting to wonder, where is she?
Yeah. They check the location tracking app on their phone.
Like any parent would nowadays.
Like you do. And the signal's still showing her at the school.
Mm.
And, maybe they think, oh, she's just, talking to a friend or...
Right. Got held up a little bit.
Yeah. But then they try calling her.
And no answer.
No answer.
And that's when the worry starts to set in, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's not just, oh, she's running a little bit behind.
Yeah.
There's no way to get a hold of her.
Yeah. And so, another 10 minutes pass. It's 5:00.
Still no answer.
Still no answer. They're calling again and again.
And you can feel that panic starting to rise, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because as a parent, you just, something's not right.
Yeah. And so at this point, her grandmother actually goes to the school to try to find her.
Yeah, because now it's like, okay, this is serious.
Yeah, it's 5.10.
We need somebody to go there.
Somebody needs to go there. And so the grandmother, she's calling out Ha-neul's name, walking up and down the hallways.
And you can imagine the terror, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like every minute that goes by, it's just mounting and mounting.
And then she sees the teacher.
Right. And the teacher is described as being unnaturally still.
Yeah, like almost in shock or something.
Yeah, or like trying to be very careful not to draw attention.
Right.
You know, like hiding something.
So the grandmother goes up to her and asks, have you seen Ha-neul?
Yeah. She's desperate for any information at this point.
And the teacher just mumbles, I don't know.
Which is so suspicious.
So suspicious, right?
You would think if you're a teacher and a parent comes up to you frantic looking for their child.
You'd be like, oh my gosh, let's find her.
Exactly. Let me help you.
Yeah, let's look together.
But instead, it's just this very dismissive, I don't know.
Right. And then the teacher does something even weirder.
What's that?
She locks the door to the audiovisual room.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
I mean, that just sends chills down your spine.
Chills, right? Like, talk about a red flag.
Right. It's like she's actively trying to hide something.
Yeah. And so the police arrive at 5:30.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. And, the grandmother's just frantic. She's pointing to the door.
Right. Please help.
Please get in there. And the police are, pounding on the door, yelling, open up.
But silence.
Silence. And so they have to kick the door in.
Oh, gosh.
And what they find inside is just horrific.
Yeah. It's like something out of a nightmare.
Poor little Ha-neul. She's lying on the floor motionless.
Oh, no.
Her white blouse is covered in blood.
Oh, that's awful.
It's just the most horrible thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
And the teacher, she's slumped against the wall. She's got these self-inflicted wounds on her wrists and neck.
So she's still alive, but...
She's still alive.
But has obviously done something terrible.
Yeah. And by 5:50, paramedics are carrying Ha-neul out on a stretcher. And you could tell just by looking at them.
Yeah. That there's nothing they can do.
That they've lost her.
Yeah. It's just heartbreaking.
It really is. And it's just a stark reminder that these things do happen, and it's just awful.
Yeah. And as the story unfolded, we learned that this was not just a random act of violence.
Right.
This was something that was potentially premeditated, and there were warning signs.
Yeah, there were so many red flags that were missed.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, so we know that the teacher, her name was later released as Myung Jae-wan. She was 48 years old, and she had a history of severe depression going back to 2018.
Right, and in fact, she had taken medical leave in December of 2024 because of her mental health.
Yeah, and this is where things get really strange, because the leave was supposed to be for 6 months.
Right, at least 6 months. That's what the medical reports were indicating.
Yeah, but then just 3 weeks later, she's back in the classroom.
Yeah, how does that happen?
How does that happen, right?
Especially with such a serious diagnosis, you would think they would be extra cautious.
Exactly. And what's even more disturbing is that there are these conflicting medical reports.
Right. One saying that she needed this extended leave, and another one saying that her symptoms had pretty much disappeared and she could go back to work.
Yeah. And so it makes you wonder, who made the decision to allow her back?
And were they aware of the other report?
Exactly. And did they take it seriously?
Yeah, because it's one thing to say, okay, you're feeling better, you can go back to a desk job.
Right.
But to put her back in charge of a classroom full of young children...
It's mind-boggling.
It really is, and it's just so irresponsible.
And on top of that, there were all these warning signs about her behavior.
Yeah, this wasn't just like a one-time thing. This was a pattern of erratic and violent behavior.
Yeah. Colleagues had reported seeing her, having these really bad mood swings.
Right, unpredictable outbursts.
Yeah, and even physical altercations.
Yeah, she reportedly twisted a coworker's arm just for asking if she was okay.
Like what?
That's not normal behavior.
No, it's not. And then just 5 days before the murder, she smashed school property.
In a fit of rage.
In a fit of rage. And the very next day, she attacked another teacher.
Tried to strangle them.
Tried to strangle them.
Yeah.
And these incidents were reported to this school administration.
To police even.
To the police. And yet nothing was done.
It's just unbelievable.
It's like they were just waiting for something terrible to happen.
Yeah, it's like they didn't take any of these warning signs seriously.
And get this, on the morning of the murder.
The day of.
The day of. Yeah, education officials actually visited the school.
But they didn't even talk to her.
They only spoke to the principal and the vice principal.
Like, what was the point of their visit then?
Exactly. If they were there to assess the situation, they should have spoken to the person everyone was concerned about.
Absolutely. It's like they just completely dropped the ball.
And hours later, this little girl is dead.
It's just so tragic.
It's just so preventable.
And you know, it gets worse because the investigation revealed some really disturbing details that suggest this might have been premeditated.
Right. So, for example, the audiovisual room where this all happened was usually kept locked.
Right.
But on that day, it was unlocked. And the teacher was reportedly seen waiting for the last child to leave the after-school program.
Oh, wow.
And the weapon she used to kill Ha-neul.
Yeah.
She didn't just grab something from the classroom.
She bought a specific knife.
Yeah, she bought a specific knife from a store that was over 2 kilometers away from the school.
And she did this during school hours.
A few hours before the attack.
Like she planned this.
Like she planned this right.
Yeah, and then her behavior after the murder is even more chilling.
Yeah, when the grandmother confronted her, she lied.
Said she didn't know where Ha-neul was.
And then she locked the door.
Trying to buy herself time.
Trying to cover up what she did.
And a criminal psychologist who looked at the case said that this wasn't a crime of passion.
He said it was a calculated act.
Yeah, and that she was trying to cover her tracks.
And the autopsy report just breaks your heart.
Yeah, poor little Ha-neul.
She had multiple stab wounds.
Deep, precise wounds.
And defensive wounds on her hands.
She fought back.
She tried to protect herself as a little 7-year-old girl.
It's just devastating.
So, you know, this whole case just highlights these massive failures in the system.
Yeah. How could someone with this woman's history be allowed to teach?
And how could they ignore all the warning signs?
And the fact that the Teacher Health Review Committee hadn't met since 2015?
Yeah, that's just insane.
It's like they didn't even care.
It's like they were setting her up to fail. And
unfortunately, a little girl paid the price.
Paid the ultimate price.
And the public is outraged.
Of course.
People are demanding answers.
They want to know how this could happen.
And they want to make sure it never happens again.
So there's this new law that's been proposed called the Han Act.
Named after Ha-neul.
Named after Ha-neul. And it would allow schools to remove teachers who are deemed mentally unfit.
Which seems like common sense.
Yeah, but apparently it wasn't.
But they're also talking about increasing security at schools.
And providing more mental health support for teachers and students.
Which is great, but, you know, it shouldn't have taken this tragedy to make these changes.
No, it shouldn't have.
But hopefully it will prevent something like this from happening again.
Yeah, so there's actually another really disturbing aspect to this story.
What's that?
So Ha-neul's father, he's grieving, obviously.
Of course.
And he makes this very heartfelt request.
Okay.
He asks if Jang Won-young,
the K-pop star.
Yeah, the K-pop star from the group IVE.
She's hugely popular.
Hugely popular, yeah. And Ha-neul was a big fan.
Oh, wow.
So he asked if she could maybe visit the funeral.
Just a simple request.
A simple request.
Yeah, from a grieving father.
Yeah, and he says that Ha-neul had dreamed of being like her.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is really sad.
Yeah.
And he wasn't demanding it or anything. He was just expressing a wish.
Yeah.
And the agency responded by sending a wreath and some photo cards.
Okay.
Which seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
But then people online started attacking him.
No way.
Saying he was putting pressure on the singer.
Oh, come on.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's so unfair.
And some people were even saying that she should have gone to the funeral.
Like it's her obligation.
Yeah, and it just turned into this huge mess.
Ugh, the internet can be so toxic.
It really can, and it's just so sad that this family who's already going through so much had to deal with this extra layer of pain.
It's just adding insult to injury.
Yeah, it's awful.
So in the end, you know, Ha-neul's classmates went back to school, but her desk is still empty.
Yeah.
A constant reminder of her absence.
And her parents are still grieving.
Of course they'll never get over this.
And legal proceedings are ongoing.
Hopefully justice will be served.
But no matter what happens,
this
little girl is gone.
And it's just a tragic reminder that we need to do better.
Yeah, we need to protect our children.
And we need to listen when people tell us that something is wrong.
And we need to hold people accountable when they fail to do their jobs.
Absolutely. Because this was a preventable tragedy.
And we owe it to Ha-neul to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again.
And to every other child out there.
Yeah. So I guess the question we're left with is, how can we make sure that our schools are truly safe places for our children?
And how can we ensure that the people who are entrusted with their care are actually worthy of that trust?
Yeah, those are questions that I think we all need to be asking.
Absolutely. And we need to keep asking them until we find real answers.
Yeah, and we can't let this fade away.
No, we can't let Ha-neul's death be in vain.
We have to learn from this tragedy.
And make sure that no other child has to suffer the same fate.
Yeah, that's a really good place to end it.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll be back next week with another deep dive.
See them?
Bye.